returned from the following the Philistines, that it was told him, saying, "Take note, David is in the wilderness and in Gadi." Then Saul took 3,000 chosen men from all Israel and went to seek David and his men on the rocks of the wild goats. So he came to the sheepfolds by the road where there was a cave. Saul went in to attend to his needs. David and his men were staying in the recesses of the cave. Then the men of David said to him, "This is the day which the Lord said to you, 'Behold, I will deliver your enemy into your hand, that you may do to him as it seems good to you.' And David arose secretly and cut off the corner of Saul's robe. Now it happened afterward that David's heart troubled him, because he had cut Saul's robe. And he said to his men, 'The Lord forbid that I should do this thing to my master, the Lord's anointed, to stretch out my hand against him, seeing he is the anointed of the Lord.' So David restrained his servants with these words and did not allow them to arise against Saul. And Saul got up from the cave and went on his way. David arose afterward and went out of the cave and called out to Saul, saying, 'My Lord King.' And when Saul looked behind him, David stooped with his face to the earth and bowed down. And David said to Saul, 'Why do you listen to the words of men who say, indeed, David seeks your harm? Look, this day your eyes have seen that the Lord delivered you today into my hand in the cave, and someone urged me to kill you. But my eyes spared you. And I said, I will not stretch out my hand against my Lord, for he is the Lord's anointed. Moreover, my father, see, yes, the corner of your robe is in my hand. For in that I cut off the corner of your robe and did not kill you. Now see that there is neither evil nor rebellion in my hand, and I have not sinned against you, yet you hunt my life to take it. Let the Lord judge between you and me, and let the Lord avenge me on you. But my hand shall not be against you. As the proverb of the ancient says, wickedness proceeds from the wicked, but my hand shall not be against you.
Wow. My goodness. Read 11 again.
Moreover, my father, see, yes, see the corner of your robe in my hand. For in that I cut off the corner of your robe and did not kill you. Know and see that there is neither evil nor rebellion in my hand, and I have not sinned against you. Yet you hunt my life to take it.
Yet you hunt my life to take it. Have you been in a situation like this in your life, where somebody is actually hunting your life to take it, yet you get occasion to slay the person, but you don't? I believe in this our present world, very few might happen, but I don't think it happens. That you see your enemy, you have the opportunity to take him down, and you let him live. It's only by God's grace. But we see here how David, he even showed that he was willing to submit to Saul's authority and still respect him as king. Even though, look at what Saul is doing, hunting him down to take his life. For what reason? Jealousy, and because God has taken the throne from him, Saul, and given it to David. Wow. So, God is a jealous God. He wants us for himself only. But God's jealousy is a righteous jealousy. But Saul's jealousy of David, is it a righteous one? No. Because Saul was hunting David like an animal to slay him. Wow. What kind of hatred is this? Have you checked your life to see if you have such kind of hatred in your heart towards another human being? This goes to those who hate others for no reason. Just because maybe he or she has some different characteristics or color or something else, or doesn't speak the way you do, and so forth. You know, we always have some reason to portend hatred towards somebody. David's lesson here is to let us understand that, look, because the Lord is God and because he recognizes that it was God who chose Saul to be king, and he's in no hurry to make himself king, even though he has been anointed king. But he just waited it out for his time and to do it in God's time and God's way. Wow. What a character David has. To be given the opportunity, see his men. What are they saying? They say, look, this is the day the Lord has given you. Don't let it pass you. But David said something that no human being or no ordinary human being will have thought. Wow, he would rather have God do the judgment of Saul against him, David, rather than him taking the law into his hands and executing it in his own way, like in instance like this. When somebody is hunting you to take you away for doing nothing. Wow. It's incredible. So let's learn a big lesson from this matter. We shall see later on how Jesus also reflects this kind of instance in the New Testament. But let's keep going now.
1 Samuel 26, 2 to 21. So Saul arose and went down to the wilderness of Ziph, taking with him 3,000 chosen men of Israel to search for David there in the wilderness of Ziph. Saul camped on the hill of Hakilah, which is beside the road east of Jeshimon. But David stayed in the wilderness. When he saw that Saul came into the wilderness after him, David sent out spies, and he learned that Saul was definitely coming. So David arose and went to the place where Saul had camped, and saw the spot where Saul lay, as well as Abner the son of Ner, the commander of his army, and Saul was lying inside the circle of the camp, with the army camped around him. Then David said to Ahimelech the Hittite and to Abishai the son of Zeruiah, brother of Joab, who will go down with me to Saul in the camp? And Abishai said, I'll go down with you. So David and Abishai went to the army during the night, and there was Saul lying asleep inside the circle of the camp, with the spear struck in the ground by his head, and Abner and the people were lying around him. Then Abishai said to David, God has given your enemy into your hand this day. Now then, please let me strike him with the spear, driving it to the ground with the one stroke, and I will not strike him the second time. But David said to Abishai, do not kill him, for who can put out his hand against the Lord's anointed king and be guiltless, innocent? David also said, as the Lord lives, most certainly the Lord will strike him in his own time and way, or his day will come and he will die, or he will go down into battle and be carried off, meaning dead. The Lord forbid that I would put out my hand against the Lord's anointed. But now take the spear that is by his head and the jug of water, and let's go. So David took the spear and the jug of water from beside Saul's head, and they left. And no one saw or knew, nor did anyone awaken, because they were all sound asleep, for a deep sleep from the Lord had fallen on them. Then David crossed over to the other side and stood on the top of the mountain at a distance, with a large area between them. David called to the army and to Abner the son of Ner, "Will you not answer, Abner?" Abner replied, "Who are you who calls and disturbs the king?" David said to Abner, "Are you not a brave man who is like you in Israel? Why then have you not guarded your lord the king? For one of the people came into your camp to kill the king your lord. This thing that you have done is not good. As the Lord lives, you surely deserve to die, because you have not guarded your lord, the Lord's anointed. And now see where the king's spirit and the jug of water that was by his head." Then Saul recognized David's voice and said, "Is this your voice, my son David?" And David said, "It is my voice, my lord the king." And David said, "Why is my lord pursuing his servant? For what have I done, or what evil is in my hand? Now therefore, please let my lord the king hear the words of his servant. If the Lord has incited you against me, let him accept an offering from me, but if it is may they be cursed before the Lord, because they have driven me out this day to keep me from sharing in the inheritance of the Lord, saying, 'Go serve other gods.' Now then, do not let my blood fall to the ground away from the presence of the Lord. For the king of Israel has come out to search for a single flea, just as when one hunts a defenseless partridge in the mountains." Then Saul said, "I have sinned. Return my son David, for I will not harm you again, because my life was precious in your sight this day. Hear me, I have played the fool and have done a very great wrong to you."
Wow. You see, Saul acknowledging his sins. He did it the first time David had opportunity to kill him. David spared him. And then again. But you see that the hand of God is in all this. You can see that even though Abner was considered the general in Israel's army at that time, and there was no man who could take him down. He took men down, but he always escaped free. And with Abner shepherding his king Saul, now here we are, an occasion arose, they were in the cave, and they totally slept. I mean, soldiers don't sleep like that. That is because the hand of God was working his own mathematics. That he made them all sleep so that David could have a testimony. And we see how it ended. David you know, spared Saul's life again. Even though Saul's men wanted, David's men wanted him to take out Saul. Because this was a too good an opportunity. They were all asleep. The general himself was asleep. And isn't it strange that they could not even hear the steps of David coming into their cave to do something? Wow. So this is how sometimes in our lives God creates an opportunity for us to test us. I believe this is a good test for David. He passed the first test of not killing Saul, and God gave him another chance. And this one, he made even Saul totally asleep together with his generals. Wow. So this shows that David's first concern was not for his own safety even. But all that David wanted was to be blameless before God. Look at that. So in the heart of David and at the back of his mind, he just wanted to satisfy God. He just wanted to please God. So in spite of these opportunities that he had to finish Saul, he didn't. Because you remember that, first of all, if God wants to take down David, he knows how to do it. But be it that not him, David, should be the one to commit such a crime. Because he regarded Saul still as somebody who God appointed. And he will not go against God's appointments. So this is a very interesting something. Most of us, if God were to put us through such kind of test, I wonder how many will pass today. Wow. When you have your enemy who hunts you like something out of the blue. Look at how even it was said. See, he said, now therefore, do not let my blood fall to the earth before the face of the Lord. For the king has come out to seek a flea. As when someone hunts a partridge in the mountains. Oh my goodness. How can he hunt a fly in the desert? And are you going to succeed to do that? Wow, but it's exactly what Saul was doing. He carried with him 3,000 good soldiers. And there was no way David could escape. But you see the workmanship of God. When God is in your life, you might go through situations you might not understand. Sometimes it's a test for you. Whether you have God for real or not. And this is a typical example of how God made Saul sleep together with all his generals. And David, he had everything in this world to avenge himself of Saul. But David's first concern was not for his own safety even, but he just wanted to be blameless before God. Oh my goodness. Has it occurred to you that you want to be blameless before God also? Maybe we should think about that, because it can help your life later in life. All right, so let's keep going to see.
1 Samuel 31, 1 through 13. Now the Philistines fought against Israel, and the men of Israel fled from before the Philistines and fell slain on Mount Gilboa. Then the Philistines followed hard after Saul and his sons. And the Philistines killed Jonathan, Abinadab, and Malchishua, Saul's son. The battle became fierce against Saul. The archers hit him, and he was severely wounded by the archers. Then Saul said to his armor-bearer, "Draw your sword and thrust me through with it, lest these uncircumcised men come and thrust me through and abuse me." But his armor-bearer would not, for he was greatly afraid. Therefore Saul took a sword and fell on it. And when his armor-bearer saw that Saul was dead, he also fell on his sword and died with him. So Saul, his 3 sons, his armor-bearer, and all his men died together that same day. And when the men of Israel who were on the other side of the valley, and those who were on the other side of the Jordan, saw that the men of Israel had fled, and that Saul and his sons were dead, they forsook the city and fled. And the Philistines came and dwelt in them. So it happened the next day when the Philistines came to strip the slain, and they found Saul and his 3 sons fallen on Mount Gilboa. And they cut off his head and stripped off his armor, and sent word throughout the land of the Philistines to proclaim it in the temple of their idols among the people. Then they put his armor in the temple of Ashtoreth, and they fastened his body to the wall of Beth-shan. And when the inhabitants of Jabesh Gilead heard that the Philistines had done what they had done to Saul, and all the valiant men arose and traveled all night, and took the body of Saul and the bodies of his son from the wall of Beth-shan. And they came to Jabesh and burnt them. Then they took their bones and buried them under the terrace tree of Jabesh, and fasted 7 days.
Wow. Look at the hand of Saul. This shows if you leave vengeance to God, He does it beautifully. See how Saul had pursued David so hotly. But in God's time, He avenged David. Look at the way Saul died. He and his 3 sons, with all the men with him. That's an incredible thing. So let's learn this thing of leaving vengeance to God. David had opportunities to avenge himself. He didn't. At the back of his mind, he said, God can do it better than me. He left it for God. And God did beautifully. See? Saul was wounded and he had to commit suicide by falling on his own spear, his own sword. Wow. So let's draw a huge lesson from this. That if you let God be God, He'll be God for you. Or He knows how to deal with your enemies. He knows how to overcome them. He knows how to wipe them out. So let's leave judgment for God and not we ourselves avenging all the time. So let's throw away our quick anger, our appetite for revenge, and whatever we might call it. Let's learn from David and see how, upon all that Saul was doing, he said, look, my people who wanted me to kill Saul, I will not, because I fear God. And he left it for God to do it. And when God's time was ripe, he did it beautifully. So let's learn not to avenge ourselves, but to leave vengeance for God. For God knows how to do things better than us. Let's keep going.
Psalm 7, 1 through 4. O Lord my God, in you I put my trust. Save me from all those who persecute me, and deliver me, lest they tear me like a lion, rendering me in pieces, while there is none to deliver. O Lord my God, if I have done this, if there is iniquity in my hands, if I have repaid evil to him who was at peace with me, or have plundered my enemy without a cause.
Wow. Well, this is part of what we are studying about David. He made God his refuge, because the way Saul was pursuing him was not a children's matter at all. I mean, his life was really at stake. But David put his trust in God. He made God his refuge. And all this while that Saul was pursuing him, he was praying inside him to God to save him, to deliver him from Saul. Wow. So just like it's being said in here, oh Lord my God, who do you put your trust in to save you from the torture and torments of Satan and his idiots? I call demons idiots. Who will save you if you don't put your trust in God and pursue God like David did? He says, save me and deliver me from all those who persecute me. Because they want to tear your soul like a lion tears his prey, ripping it in pieces. So if you don't have God for real, who else are you going to have? Wow. So it is a very big lesson for us as children of God. Let's make God our refuge so that he can save us and avenge us of all our enemies. Because that is his great plan for his true children. And it's going to be well if we do so. Now let's see what Jesus said about such instances also.
Matthew 5, 38 through 44. You have heard that it was said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. But I tell you not to resist an evil person. But whoever slaps you on the right cheek, turn the other to him also. If anyone wants to sue you and take away your tunic, let him have your cloak also. And whoever compels you to go 1 mile, go with him 2. Give to him who asks of you, and from him who wants to borrow from you, do not turn away. You have heard that it was said, you shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I say to you, love your enemies, bless those who curse you, do good to those who hate you, and pray for those who spitefully use you and persecute you.
Wow. You see what Jesus is saying here too? Say, but I tell you, do not resist an evil person. Wow. David didn't resist Saul. He was pursued. He just kept running away and kept trusting in God, kept praying, and kept looking for God's vengeance. And this is what, when Jesus came, he made this world a different one for us. Say, if anyone even wants to sue you and take away your coat, let him have your cloak also. Wow. And whoever compels you to go a mile, go with him 2 miles. Give to the one who asks you. Do not turn away from one who wants to borrow from you. Wow. But are we able to do these things like Jesus is saying? Wow. For David, when Saul was pursuing him hotly like this, he gave him the rope to continue pursuing him. You hear David is here, you pursue him. You hear David was there, you pursue him. Why? What kind of hatred should we amass in us to such a degree that because we are jealous of somebody, because we are envious of somebody, because maybe what we desired never came to us, but it came to somebody we think he or she doesn't deserve. As if we made human beings. That is a great lesson that God wants us to understand. Now look, he said, you have heard of old. You should love your neighbor as yourself and hate your enemy. But Jesus is saying, I say to you, love your enemies, bless those who curse you. That's exactly what David was doing in the wilderness with Saul. Saul was hating him, cursing him, doing whatsoever. But did he return the curse and all that? No. Wow, he rather blessed him. He was even willing to submit to Saul in spite of the hatred. Wow. And look at what Jesus is saying. He said, do good to those who hate you. Wow, just like David did to Saul. Say, and pray for those who abuse you and persecute you, so that you may be the children of your Father who is in heaven. For he makes the sun to rise on the evil and on the good. He sends rain on the just and the unjust. For if you love those who love you, what reward do you have? Wow. So, because the Lord knows it's a hard thing for human beings to follow. And that's why he himself has come to give us grace to be able to do that. If even David's time they didn't have grace, yet he managed to do that because he wanted to be blameless in the sight of his God. Now we have grace. Are we going to hold onto this grace and just hold down our anger, our zest for revenge? Because some people can really do you evil. But what did Jesus say? Don't be overtaken by a temptation to avenge yourself. Leave it to the one who is the true avenger. The Lord God of hosts. He knows how to do it better. So let's follow what Jesus is saying so that we can always do what we can to resist the temptation to carry out evil and to pay back evil for evil. Wow. All right, let's keep going and see more from the New Testament.
Luke 6:20-36.
Then he lifted up his eyes toward his disciples and said, "Blessed are you poor, for yours is the kingdom of God. Blessed are you who hunger now, for you shall be filled. Blessed are you who weep now, for you shall laugh. Blessed are you when men hate you, and when they exclude you, and revel you, and cast out your name as evil, for the Son of Man's sake. Rejoice in that day and leap for joy, for indeed your reward is great in heaven. For in like manner their fathers did to the prophets. But woe to you who are rich, for you have received your consolation. Woe to you who are full, for you shall hunger. Woe to you who laugh now, for you shall mourn and weep. Woe to you when all men speak well of you, for so did their fathers to the false prophets. But I say to you who hear, love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you, and pray for those who spitefully use you. To him who strikes you on the one cheek, offer the other also. And from him who takes away your cloak, do not withhold your tunic either. Give to everyone who asks of you. And from him who takes away your goods, do not ask them back. And just as you want men to do to you, you also do to them likewise. But if you love those who love you, what credit is that to you? For even sinners love those who love them. And if you do good to those who do good to you, what credit is that to you? For even sinners do the same. And if you lend to those from whom you have hope to receive back, what credit is that to you? For even sinners lend to sinners to receive as much back. But love your enemies, do good, and lend, hoping for nothing in return, and your reward will be great, and you will be sons of the Most High. For he is kind to the unthankful and evil. Therefore be merciful, just as your Father also is merciful.
Wow. Isn't that incredible? Wow. Sermon on the Mount. So this shows or indicate how the life of discipleship is very difficult. Because sometimes you gotta go through hunger, sorrow, fears, opposition, from a sinful man. But like David, you gotta remember that you have eternal blessedness awaiting you. And this is why he contrasted this for us. Like even when your enemies do their worst against you. In our time, we have the grace to be like a shock absorber, to absorb. Because at the back of your mind, you know that God sees, He's watching, and He has this time for a payback for you. So what do? Take a refuge in the Lord and do as He's saying. Because the life of a disciple is not an ordinary life. It's a lot of sacrifice, a lot of sacrifice. So if you want to serve God for real, there's going to be a lot of pain, a lot of suffering, a lot of loss even. Because you have to give up everything for Christ's sake. Because you are not after the praises of men, but you want the praise that comes from God. Wow. So this is very interesting that we have to observe carefully how Jesus has appointed us to receive an abundance that comes from heaven. He's asking us to give to others what they won't give us. Wow. Oh my goodness. So the life of a true child of God can be hard. You know, it can be hard. But as we labor and we take the counsel from God, our end will be sweeter than our now. So we just got to learn how to accommodate whatever will come our way, with our minds and our hearts on the tomorrow that God has for us. After all, the end of the matter is the most important, than when you are journeying through it. When you are journeying and you reach the end, then you can have rest. So right now, whatever we're going through, people hating us, people saying all sorts of things, people denying you, all. Just make the effort to compose yourself and know that to God belongs everything. So don't avenge yourself and don't do as you feel led to do, to retaliate, avenge. Let's learn from what God is teaching us here, even in the New Testament. Wow, you don't want to be like the blind leading the blind. We are not being led by the blind. Our God is not a blind guy. He knows what he's saying, and he's giving us the grace to be able to hang on to it. So let's hold his grace and let's perform when all these circumstances come our way. For the life of a true disciple is hard, yet he gives us the ability to go through it, because our tomorrow is far better than our now. So let's do it so that we shall be blessed in Jesus' mighty name. Let's keep going.
Romans 12:9 through 21. Let love be without hypocrisy. Abhor what is evil and cling to what is good. Be kindly affectionate to one another with brotherly love, in honor, giving preference to one another, not lagging in diligence, fervent in spirit, serving the Lord, rejoicing in hope, patient in tribulation, continuing steadfastly in prayer, distributing to the needs of the saints, given to hospitality. Bless those who persecute you. Bless and do not curse.
Wow.
Rejoice with those who rejoice, and weep with those who weep. Be of the same mind towards one another. Do not set your mind on high things, but associate with the humble. Do not be wise in your own opinion. Repay no one evil for evil. Have regard for good things in the sight of all men. If it is possible, as much as depends on you, live peaceably with all men. Beloved, do not avenge yourselves, but rather give place to wrath. For it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, saith the Lord. Therefore, if your enemy is hungry, feed him. If he is thirsty, give him a drink. For in so doing, you will heap coals of fire on his head. Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good.
Wow. Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. Just like David did. He overcame Saul's evil towards him with good. He spared his life. Not once, not twice, many times. Wow. So let's take a cue for what God is, telling us, through even Paul in Romans. Yeah. Sometimes the desire for revenge it can be a great source of trouble for a lot of individuals, even families and even nations. Wow. But it must have no place in the hearts of God's people. You see that? Sometimes the desire, because it's like, if somebody hurts you, why not? Hurt him back. But it's like overcoming evil with evil, or paying back evil for evil. Wow. So we shouldn't allow the evil acts of those, who want to cause us to disobey God's plan for our lives. For God has a purpose for your life. If you try to do it David's way, it will end you far better. If you let God take the vengeance, it's you who's going to gain in the end. And look, David, when his time came, God made his way happen for him. So we always tell people, look, don't be self-conceited, and reign yourself in pride and exalt yourself and, disturb things. If you are a child of God, let God be your A to Z, and let's follow what He's telling us, because He's given us the grace to be able to sustain all the hurts and all the troubles that will come our way. Let's God wants us to become true children of His. I mean, when He was slapped and He was railed on, and He didn't reply, He just kept quiet. He allowed Himself to be beaten to death. Wow. But can we do in this modern world? So, discipleship is costly. Very costly. And we can do it because He gives us the ability to sustain and keep on keeping on And let's leave the vengeance to him. And that's why he starts with saying, he said, let love not be without. He said, let love be without hypocrisy. We should rather hate evil, not condone evil. Wow. And that we should cling to what is good. You see? And be devoted one to another in brotherly love, sisterly love, in honor, putting others above yourself. Wow. We shall see how David also humbled himself in our next episode. But for now, we just want to live a life of love, joy, unity, humility, and peace. So have peace. Be peaceable with all men, in spite of whatever they do to you. If you want God's joy, if you want God's love, if you want God's unity and humility to prevail in your life, learn David's way. Because David's way of dealing with Saul goes a long way, even to today, to help us. If you want to be a man after God's own heart, learn David's way. And we are learning. This is where I put you tonight. And may the Lord bless you. And hopefully, what you are hearing tonight, I try to speak slowly so that the words can enter you and you can understand how to treat it and make it part of your life. So may the Lord bless you, and we'll see you in a few